got any stories for me? Any good stories of recent?
No good stories of recently. I just killed myself at training, but I'm here somehow. So
You here?
resurrected.
You're here alive.
Jesus Christ!
Oh my God. We have the real life Portuguese Jesus.
I think Jesus was Portuguese.
Sure.
I think that's the story. I think that's what it went.
Is that how it went?
I don't know. I think depends where you're from.
I thought he was Australian.
Exactly. That's what I mean. It depends where he's from. He might have been Australian.
He might have been. So you're obviously Portuguese, but you were born there. When did you move over?
Moved over probably would have been pretty young, 6 months. About there, 6 to 9 months.
Right. So you have a good idea of what it was like back then.
Well, we did go back again.
Yeah. Right.
So I did go back again when I was about 3 or 4 for a good 6 months.
Yeah.
And then came back again, and have only been back for holidays, for short holidays. So, and yeah, I'm basically Australian.
Pretty much.
Pretty much Australian.
Yeah.
As
nice.
you can tell by the accent.
um,
No accent has stayed around anymore.
Yeah. So, what prompted your family to move? Because it's you and your brother?
2 brothers.
Yeah.
One was born here though.
Yeah.
It's more, I think back then, Portugal wasn't exactly the most economically stable country in the world.
It's a bit sus, was it?
No, it's just not many opportunities.
Yeah.
So that's always, I guess that's why a lot of people from Europe at that time would have been, came over.
Yeah, just seeking somewhere where they can
Plus,
make a bit of a life for themselves.
Australia, apart from it being a bit expensive, has to be one of the best places in the world to live, right? So it's like, even back then, it was still, you get what I mean? So it's so I think that was the main reason. In fact, interesting story. So my cousin who lives in Greece now, but he lived in Luxembourg.
Yeah.
Basically, his dad and my dad were in the Navy together, and they basically, this is the way the story goes. This story may have been embellished, but this is what I've been told. They flipped a coin as to which country they would go to, either Luxembourg or Australia.
Now, obviously, one person got Australia, one person got Luxembourg.
Yep. Oh, Luxembourg is, I think, per capita one of the richest places in the world or something.
Yeah, right.
Because it's so small and there's lots of banks there. Rich people.
Lots of money laundering?
Possibly. Maybe that's what my cousin used to do. I don't anyway. And we came here. That's the story. I don't know if that's a true story or not.
I don't know how true that story is.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's kind of a bit bullshit, but I'm rolling with it. I think it's a pretty good story.
I like that story.
That's a good story.
It's better than most stories anyway.
Yeah, because it's like it was left to fate as to where we were going to live.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing.
Well, I mean, you probably got the good end of that stick.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think Australia's pretty good.
I think Australia's pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I just find it funny that it could have went a completely different way.
Yeah.
But here we are on the podcast right now. So
exactly. So
it all led to this.
I'm terrible at geography. Where's Luxembourg?
Luxembourg is basically Central Europe.
Is it like near
Belgium, Germany, Austria?
Is it like further west of Germany?
No, it's probably, I think it's south of Germany. But it's like, I think it borders Germany.
Yeah, right.
I'm pretty sure. It borders everything because it's just like an intersection. It is the size of Sydney.
Damn.
Small country.
Tiny ass.
Like it would be the size of Greater Sydney, basically. Damn. I think.
So it's like an hour to.
It's an hour to drive the country.
Like the whole country.
Yeah.
Damn.
And when my
so an hour in Sydney.
Yeah, well, the only reason it's an hour in Sydney is because of traffic. So you're an hour there. You are covering some good distance, but like my cousin was blown away by just how far everything was.
When you came
in
over?
Australia, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Well, we drive 2 hours and we're in Sydney.
It's half an hour to my parents' place.
Yeah.
Right in Maitland.
Yeah.
It's pretty much half an hour, right?
That's half the country.
Yeah. For them, it's half the country. They're like, this is huge. So, Australia's awesome.
That could be much more interesting place to live, I'm guessing. But
yeah, it would have been very. In saying that, I've even had thoughts about going back to Portugal.
Yeah.
To live, but again, there's still not that much opportunity there. It's such a small country compared to Australia. 10 million people. Yeah, and it's like...
that's comparative, really. 10 million people.
In a way, yeah, true.
We've got 20.
It's the size of...
That's almost Sydney.
What, Victoria? Maybe?
Probably. I think Sydney has like 4 or 5 million.
Yeah, so...
That's wild.
Yeah, it's pretty wild to think. Well, obviously Australia has all the major cities. So, yeah, I've thought about it. It's a beautiful country, and I may go back one time, but not while COVID's around.
Oh, you sure? You don't want to go?
Yeah, I could.
I've
got to wait 2 weeks over there, just twiddle my thumbs for 2 weeks probably. I don't know if they've got the same rules.
Knowing you wouldn't be twiddling your thumbs, you'd be working away at something.
No, you got to rub one out. Alright, you got to do what you got to do.
I mean, if Jen comes with you.
Yeah, Jen's never been, so she would definitely have to come. So.
So you were an engineer. You technically still are, I guess.
Yeah, I guess I am. Someone called me an engineer the other day. I was offended by that. No, I guess technically I still am. Yeah. The degree doesn't run out. I was an engineer for 8 years before becoming a coach.
Yeah, right. Great times?
Good times. Yeah, you always look back on things a lot better than when you're removed for 6 years from it. So yeah, you always think back and it's pretty good. The money was good.
Yeah, you always think about the good times. You don't necessarily think about the shit part.
There is working in an office for 8 hours a day, looking at a monitor, doing work that, let's be real, you don't really give a shit about.
No.
That is the hard part.
100%.
That's the part. Yeah, and it's properly the Matrix. You are in the Matrix at that moment.
Yeah.
Like everyone's the same. Everyone's reasonably dressed the same.
One person has a blue tie. One person has a red tie. One person has a green tie.
That's about it. Some
some
people have some high vis now and then. Some people come and go from the office, but everyone works pretty much the same. Everyone pretty much gets there at the same time, works the same hours roughly, doing similar work. It's all on computers.
Looking at numbers?
Numbers.
I understand engineering is like maths and physics based, but not necessarily. What engineering involves?
Well, it all depends on the situation. For me, I was more project engineering for a lot of it, which is basically you just make sure projects are delivered, right? So you actually get other people in probably to do numbers, but your job is...
You're more like a manager man going.
You're kind of manager.
What's going on over
there? Yeah, you kind of connect it all.
Yeah.
And then you got a project manager who kind of oversees you, kind of basically.
Yeah.
And they have ultimate responsibility, but obviously they're delegating a lot to you, and then it's all farmed out. So I never got really into technical stuff because I didn't really like the technical stuff. I knew it.
You understood it.
I understood it. That's the role of the project engineer. Someone comes in, a consultant or whoever comes in, a subcontractor, and they give the technical stuff. They talk, this is what we've got to do, and it's your job to interpret that. Yeah. Basically, and be like, okay, I understand that. That's not going to work because of A, B, C, D, budget, whatever, space, whatever the constraints may be.
Yeah. And
go from there. So the project engineer knows the technical stuff, but probably isn't in the technical stuff.
Yeah. So he's an understanding of what you're talking about when they talk to you, not necessarily the finer details of how they got every answer.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would I would never see the maths behind it. For instance, I'm like, I don't give a shit. Just give me the.
Yeah, I trust you that you've got.
Yeah, that's why I've come to you. You're the expert in this. I understand it, but I don't want to do it. You give me the answer that's going to work within these constraints. I'll say yes or no.
I can do it really.
Yeah, it's basically
just do your job.
But you just make sure it's on budget and it's to code.
Yeah.
And we're pretty good, right?
Yeah.
As long as it fits in there, whatever it is, we're going to be pretty good, kind of thing. So
if you can come under budget, even better.
Yeah, and so I would probably more talk to other engineers who would do more of the design work. Sometimes those engineers were within the business, sometimes they were contractors. So it just depended on the situation, but that was project engineering. Then I moved to reliability engineering, which was a lot more about numbers, but less technical.
Yeah. It's more like, if we did this project, is it actually going to come to...
Well, it was more like, why is this machinery breaking down?
Right.
So there is a technical aspect to it, but I'm still not so much doing calculations. I'm kind of just, how do we increase the reliability of this machine?
Yeah, so this machine has had this fault 7,000 times.
Exactly.
And it always seems to happen 3 months in or whatever.
Exactly. That's kind of like, so looking at a lot of data and picking up patterns, and we've all got programs.
And then you can kind of be like, oh, look, hey, there's probably inefficiency in this part, go sort that.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so that was the last 3 years of it.
Is that all the same company, or?
No, 3 companies along the way. Two are basically what you call basically contractors, engineering consultancies.
Yeah.
And then the last one was an OEM, so a mining OEM. We provided equipment for, not all the mines, a lot of the mines in the Hunter Valley.
Yeah.
And and then I had to basically improve the reliability of those machines on those mine sites.
Yeah. So make sure there's less downtime. Less downtime, more money for them, more money for you guys, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's one of those things where that was really a back end thing. So it's not front end selling machinery.
Yeah.
It's making sure that the machinery can do what we told people. Exactly, right. So because sometime in the future, that company may want to buy more, right? So
yeah, that makes sense. So what would you say the lessons you've learned from engineering carry across to coaching and the business side of life that you're in now?
Probably patience would be one, and I guess the offshoot to that is everything takes longer than you think it's going to take.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
we talk about this so regularly.
Like a business would say, we want this delivered in 3 months, and you would probably agree to get the job, or just to get them to shut up.
Yeah.
But that's not going to take 3 months.
Yeah. And they probably know too. It's not going to take 3 months. But if they said 6 months, then you're going to take 6 months plus, rather than 3 months plus.
Absolutely.
So you need to have that kind of balance of like, we need it done ASAP.
Yeah. But
if they give them too long, you're just going to take that time.
You'll take that time, right?
It's 100%. It's like anything. Like, especially at uni. Like, I know they give me all my assessments 6 months ahead of time.
Absolutely.
And I'll still be doing it the night before. Not necessarily the whole thing, but I'll be working on it the night before.
Parkinson's law, that is.
Yeah.
A project will take the amount of time allotted to it.
Yeah.
So a project will take 3 months if you give it 3 months.
Or it'll take 3 weeks.
Or it'll take 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
So that's always basically shorten the project schedule.
Obviously, there's exceptions to that rule where it'll take longer because of
absolutely
stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've probably learnt more in the last few years with business than I've learnt in engineering, though.
Yeah.
Probably because I had to.
Yeah, 100%.
Less responsibility. Right?
Yeah. But you would have learnt some important lessons. Like, you don't have a team at the moment necessarily.
Yeah.
You manage teams and
Absolutely.
stuff by the sounds of it. So you'd have that skill, and obviously that carries across to working with your clients.
Absolutely, and it's one of these things. Listening is always important, no matter what. Right? Listening to what the client wanted, to the client being whatever business before, now what the clients want as well.
Yeah.
And also clearly explaining what they want and what they need can be two different things.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that balance there, which I think is situation to situation dependent.
Yeah.
But trying to find that balance that's something that carries over as well. Even simple things, managing money.
Yeah.
Right. Simple things like now
you can project a
absolutely
bit.
Right. So even when I'm trying to implement things in the business, we talked about those timelines. Well, I had to work out those timelines before that comes into the business where I'm like, all right, this is realistic. It's good to make it short, but there's no need to put pressure on myself either, stress myself out, deliver something subpar to clients now. And that's the same as the way it used to be as well. So there's a lot of carryovers. I think also managing yourself. I think in business, well, when you're an employee, it's very important that you can manage yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Because your manager doesn't want to be managing you.
Yeah, they won't be necessarily micromanaging. They won't be able to give you a task and kind of like let you come back and give them the result, rather than go, hey, you need to be doing this at this time, and then like, oh, also this is how I want you to do it, and you need to call this many people.
Absolutely.
And you need to do a handstand and
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. So
then they're not doing what they actually need to be doing.
Exactly. So and that carries over. So managing yourself is probably a big one, but it's not until you start a business and trying to do it all that when you're forced to, that's probably when you're going to get better at it, right?
Yeah,
so,
100%.
But that's probably something I would recommend that people get really good at if they are an employee, is managing themselves.
Yeah.
Because
that just provides so much more opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like it's like becoming the go-to guy of the business.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I was the go-to guy for the last engineering business I was in, but the amount of gaps that I had to fill in that place, because I was just doing everything, right? I just do all these different things. So yeah, being able to manage yourself and probably being versatile as well.
Yeah.
That's probably
a bit more of a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, we can go into that, right? What do? Do you do a deep dive into one thing, or do you become?
Well, that's the like age-old question, isn't it? Like, there's so many things I would rather be an inch wide and a mile deep on, rather than a mile wide and an inch deep on. But then I'm also that type of person that likes to be spread across a mile wide. I want to be a mile wide, a mile deep, rather than.
Well, it's actually interesting because, like, with your business, that's one area that you've gone very specific on. Yeah. And like, seeing you coach clients, it's like super high level. Yeah. Like what you're delivering is super high level. Whereas what I'm delivering is a lot more general. Yeah. Right. Like it's kind of bits of this and bits of that, and even my clientele is more general. Right. Yeah. Really. And I don't know which one's better. I don't know that answer yet.
100%. Like, I don't necessarily think there needs to be one better.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
It's just more.
It's just different, right?
I think it also kind of talks to the personality of the coach. Like, I mean, we've talked about this a few times, I think, but for us, like, you generally just want to help people improve in their whole life, not
Yeah,
just
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
where I'm more specifically like performance,
Absolutely.
but that's more who I am. I'm a high level, I want to be a high level performer, and I always go to like weird super niche things, rather than super broad. Just like,
absolutely.
Hey, I want to be an engineer. I'd be like, I want to be this really obscure nautical, biological engineer or some crap, and everyone would be like, "What the hell is that?"
But see, it's because what's super interesting about that is that you've gone very niche in the business, really.
Yeah.
Like you'd say, it's pretty. Not that it's an obscure niche; it's just like you're focused on one thing. But then in your own personal life, you like to dabble in heaps of different things, right?
Yeah.
You like, even with the bow hunting that you're kind of getting into now.
Yeah.
It's kind of left field, really. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like even trail running, right? Not many people do that. So it's like across a lot of broad things, which probably helps the specificity in the business as well, right?
Yeah.
So it's again, like you said, I don't think there's a right or wrong way, but it's just interesting the way that like you've gone about it, which is cool. I like it. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So with business, are you thinking necessarily of continuing face to face for the rest of the time? Like, I'm not saying you're going to be in the same business for the rest of your life, but are you going to continue at face to face for the rest? You're going to move online? What are you thinking with that?
I think there has to be at some point some evolution. Online, it's tricky because when everyone goes online, then you're in the same position where
everyone's doing the same shit.
Everyone's doing the same thing, right? So, and it's like, and you can do it better. People say, well, you can do it better, or you can
do it different.
Do it different, right? But that's what we were doing before. That's what we were trying to do before, right? I still think there's value in face-to-face. I still think there's value in the human connection. I don't think a pandemic, as shit as it is, I don't think it changes that much, but with human connection.
Oh, I think if anything, it reinforces.
Absolutely, that's what I think. I think it's people realise when you have to stay indoors for 4 to 6 weeks. Not have to, but you're very limited, right? And it's like, man, I miss other people.
I miss doing anything.
Yeah. And I'm not a massive I'm not someone who loves spending heaps of time with people, right? I'm naturally probably more towards introverted, so I recharge away from other people, right?
Yeah.
I like to. In saying that, I coach face to face for years now, right? So that's not an issue. Spending time with people is not an issue, but when it's taken away, all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, spending time with people is pretty good fun.
I think you could kind of like equate that to being like, choose to be a vegan or a vegetarian.
Yeah.
Or there's just you don't have an option for meat and animal products. You're forced to be a vegan. You're kind of like, I'll do it, but I ain't happy about it right now.
I really like a steak right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Now that I can't have it, I would really like...
Or like, hey, you can't do this one, whatever it is, for the next 4 weeks. Everyone's going to be like, that's all I want.
That's all I want to do. Now that you said I can't do it, that's the thing I really want to do. So I think on it would be wrong for any coach to not explore online.
Yeah.
But for me, I just think the face-to-face still has so much value. So it's getting that balance between the two. I think I'll keep doing probably the best ways to how can you affect more people face-to-face in the same amount of time or less amount of time, right?
Yeah.
And we've talked about this like semi-private training, which I think is the future. I could be completely proven wrong with this. Semi-private or small group, but
But then also you could run a small group as a semi-private.
Absolutely.
Well, that's kind of actually a question I was going to ask. Like, where do you see the future of the industry necessarily going? But where do you see the future of your business then moving if you don't have a sway either way? You're going to go more semi-private and the small group kind of option. You're going to go a larger group, or you're going to go like
for me, definitely semi-private. I don't think there's anything wrong with big group training. I think I just think the individual gets lost. Now that might be what the individual is after, right? They might just want to do the same as everyone else. But I think you can find a balance between training with other people and still achieving quite specific goals for yourself.
Yeah.
And I think this is where the small group and semi-private comes in.
Yeah.
And I could be very wrong about this because we see the big group training kind of exploding right, at the moment. So I could be completely wrong. I could be talking out my ass right now. But for my business, I see it moving more semi-private, small group, and that's where I would prefer to steer it anyway.
Yeah.
That way I'm getting almost like one-on-one interaction with people. Yeah. But able to affect more people in the same amount.
I think also like it gives people more confidence than if they say you retire or you stop coaching or they move to a different place that they don't then necessarily need another coach or want another coach. They might just buy a program off you.
Absolutely.
But they have that confidence because you've given them time in the gym by themselves to do what you need them to do, and then you come back and go, hey, like, how you feeling? Like, what's going
Absolutely.
on? I think that's where a big benefit I see that would work for a lot of people because they don't. I think you're still getting that kind of one-on-one interaction. You're still getting that relationship built, that rapport. But then you move into more of a like, here's some independence rather than you're stuck in the system.
Absolutely.
Your number XYZ 4412.
It's well, we kind of touched on it before, didn't we? It's I guess it's a balance between what the client wants and what the client needs, right? So I think this is the thing with training. It's not that complicated.
No.
But like a lot of things, like for instance, I've seen you train. You move great. Now you're a bit more natural than other people, but you're not with a coach. A lot of the stuff that you've done, you've learnt yourself, right?
Yeah.
You've put in a repetition. You've trained hard. Really, there aren't that many movements that people need to be doing in the gym to feel good and get results.
Yeah.
Right. Because you don't need to be doing.
There's no one like. Not that I necessarily get asked all the time or ever, really, but my favourite question to coaches in general, what's the best exercise?
Yeah, it's like, there is no, and it's like, it's
what's the best exercise for what purpose?
Yes, and
for who?
For who, right? It's like,
and for when in your training?
For instance, a great example is I don't really get people doing heavy 1RM squats anymore.
Just don't need it, really.
Just don't need it. Well, general population, just, not that they shouldn't do heavy weights. They'll do some heavy weights now and then, but I just don't think they need to be tested in a 1RM, right? But, and like something like a squat, a deadlift, and then if you get into more technical exercises, a snatch, they are technical exercises, right? A squat can be hard to learn for people, right?
I think people should learn to squat necessarily. Absolutely. They don't need to do it all the time.
Yes, absolutely.
But as it's kind of like a fundamental functional movement for the human body to do, it's probably a good thing.
Yeah, and I think people, like aside from those few exercises that are a bit technical, take a bit of time, training's pretty simple. Like most things are pretty simple, like the movements, right? I think there's only a few that are pretty complicated exercises.
And it's just more moving parts.
Right? Yeah, more moving parts, right?
That's simple. It's just simple exercises with added exercises entwined in it.
Exactly. So it's just like more moving parts, which takes people longer to especially if they haven't been moving for ages, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that we get people in groups, right, and they feel dependent on me as a coach to get them, doing things. It's like, well, I'll be real with you. The actual training side of things isn't that hard.
Yeah.
I'll be real. It's not that. And this is where, and I'm talking specifically for general population, because I know is what you do.
Yeah.
You're getting into super particular things for particular reasons, right?
Yeah. Like if you say play basketball, we need to do necessarily different ranges of movement because you don't necessarily need to be able to do a squat clean, as people like to call it.
Yes.
Which I oppose, but that's another conversation. But they might not be able to do like heavy power cleans or heavy hand cleans where they're getting that stretch shortening cycle, they're getting that right range of movement for that power for a jump, rather than where you go, oh, I want this person to be able to sit on the toilet when they're 70 without any pain.
So I think we can easily, like I've had clients thank me, oh, thanks so much for, I'm like, I'll be real with you, the training's pretty easy, the programming, pretty easy. Like, it's not, for the general population, I want clients to pay me to make their lives better, but it's not the training. The training has somewhat to do with it, right? But it's like, to teach them how to bench press, it's like, that's it, right? Is that it? It's like, surely we can teach clients so that they can do it themselves.
Yeah, 100%. Isn't that the end goal, really? It's great if they stay on. Like, absolutely. I think that should be the goal as well. It's like, it's great if they stay on.
Absolutely.
And work like with the community and be part of your business and stuff. But you're not just there to kind of turn up and take the money, are you?
No. Like I've said from the start, I think clients should fire me at a certain point.
Yeah.
Right. If we're talking solely about the training, clients should fire me because they know how to do it. Like it's really not that complicated. It's so uncomplicated. I taught myself how to do most of it. I was training by myself for ages. I followed other people's programs, but that's like
written down.
Yeah, bench press, 3x3, and please, all right, sweet.
3 reps, 3 sets.
You look on YouTube and you're like, all right, sweet. And
I don't think I got that one.
Yeah, and of course, like there are particular things, but again, personally for myself, I'm not trying to be a powerlifter. I'm not trying to be I'm not doing something specific.
Yeah.
So I don't need to learn the specifics, like super high detail. So for most clients, for general population, we should be able to teach them what to do, and they know how to do it themselves in a pretty short period. Relatively, within a year, they could probably do most of it themselves.
You should be able to give them a program.
Yeah, and they can just go away.
And you just stand there next to them. You could not even say a word.
Yeah, they should be able to do it. Right. 100%. And they're like, oh, I would like for a client to say to me, and they've never said to me, so maybe I'm not doing that good, but I'd love a client to say to me, you know what? I know heaps now. I feel like I can do this myself. I think we should stop. And I'll be like,
I think you kind of have had that. It was Tanya, wasn't it, that did a PT course?
Yeah, in a way. Yeah, that's true.
So she's not necessarily going, hey, Marco, I want to stop training with you. It's more, hey, I feel confident enough in my training personally that I think I can help benefit other people by becoming a PT and kind of not necessarily following in your footsteps, but leading my clients down a similar path to what you've done. So I think you have done that. It's just not necessarily someone's come out and going, yo, what's up? Just gonna let you know that I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good from you.
Peace out. I hope everything goes well for you. I'm sitting out now.
And I guess this is one of those situations where if you try to do that, if you try to teach clients so that they can do it themselves, they'll probably stick around.
Yeah, 100%.
Because they're like, oh wow, this person genuinely cares. It's not like just getting him to run through exercises. Genuinely, I could come up with a program, both of us, right? Yeah. We could come up with a program on the spot for someone who's just walked in.
Yeah.
We were just like, just do this.
I can honestly say I've legitimately done that because people walk in and go, hey, like, I want a session, like, and people just say, oh, Mark will do it. I'm like, all right, yeah, guess here, what kind of session do you want?
Yes, exactly.
Right, and it's then, like, on the fly, you just go, yeah, right, we're doing this and that.
And there's no, firstly, there's a skill in that.
Yeah.
But there's no long-term
progression.
Yeah. You're not thinking long-term with that because you know there's nothing long-term. The person, right? We've both done group classes at the gym. We've both been called up late, and we just provide anything because we know it's like, well, these aren't my clients.
Yeah.
I'm not going to injure them.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to do bad.
It's not like we're saying that it's a bad thing. It's just it's happened. Someone's cancelled. Someone's got to cover something else.
Absolutely.
We get thrown into the deep end. Going, hey, like, can you do the class in 4 seconds?
Yeah, and it's like, okay, sweet, no problem. But that's not like we're not thinking long term with that because
it's a once-off.
It's a once-off thing, right? So, and I think a lot of training is like that at the moment. But I think if you can kind of, like, I know you're doing this as well. You're thinking probably 12 months with a client. They're thinking 6 weeks, right?
Oh, mate, some of my clients seem to think like tomorrow.
Yeah. So, and it's like, and you're thinking, oh no, you just got to stick with me on this because I'm thinking 12 months, the performances that you'll get in 12 months' time.
100%.
Mainly because you know it's like, all right, this work is going to take 12 months. You may excel and it'll be quicker, but the average for this particular, for is maybe, 6-12 months. So,
so I've been working with Bridge, like 8 months, 9 months, or September, so like about 9 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started mid-Jan.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're on 9 months.
Yeah, nice.
Or so. So yeah, we've been working together. Last night I was just joking, like, mate, so like, are you hitting bombs yet? Here's a golfer, just in case you're wondering what we're talking about. Are you hitting bombs yet? He's like, oh yeah, I'm hitting like 250. I just jokingly said, no, that's not good enough. He goes, that's like 40 metres longer than when we started. So in like 9 months, he's progressed 40 metres, which is not just me. I'm not saying I did anything really, but he's put in the work every week for the next 9 months, which is awesome. But it just goes to show, like, we have been doing the most basic shit. Let's go back to revisit how to squat.
Absolutely.
And then, like, we did a massive strength block and work on, like, core strength. And then now he's getting a bit more coordinated with his upper and lower body and how to disassociate when he needs to and stuff, which is great.
Absolutely.
But really, I have been doing the most basic programming for him. And it's not like it's anything crazy. I just keep explaining, like, this is why we're doing this. And he goes, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I think that's the big thing that, like, I find with people that actually find that they get change and get long-term results for clients, not just weight loss, is that ability to then project into the future of what you're trying to achieve with this exercise now. So, hey, we're doing a box squat body weight. Why? Because your fundamental movement pattern is flawed. We need to do it. You want to be able to squat 200 kilos, but your base is shit. We need to take a few steps back, learn how to do it correctly with nothing, and then progress from there.
Absolutely. And I think there is still so much value in that for coaching, right? Yeah. As much as it is heading towards generalization, which isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
I just think the individual still matters.
100%. Because everyone moves differently.
Everyone moves differently.
You know this from coaching for long enough. I know it. Everyone moves differently, and you can't necessarily go, alright, your squat's bad because you have slightly more of a hip hinged style squat rather than more of a traditional squat. But their lever lengths are different, so naturally they're going to do that. They have super tight and immobile ankles. You can't just nitpick on things that you see are wrong, but not necessarily much you can do physiologically about it.
Yeah, and I think as a listen, there's that big group training is good because people just want to feel good.
Yeah, I 100% like people. Obviously, I've worked at F45 before and stuff like that. People always ask me like, "Hey, what's it like? Or, do you think it's good?" I'm like, "Yeah, it depends what you're using it for."
Exactly.
You want to become like a professional athlete? Probably not. No. If you want to feel good, lose a bit of weight, get to a certain fitness level, you're gonna get there.
Absolutely.
You're kind of going to be really good at anaerobic conditioning, but it's not necessarily like the best thing for like an endurance runner. It's not going to benefit from it.
And this is there's benefits for everything, and it's I guess it's up to us to highlight the benefits that we provide.
Yeah,
because it's easy to get bundled in with everything else, right?
Yeah, I think also as well, like I know I don't try and like go like, oh, I'm better in this way. I'm just this is what I do. If you like it, good. If you don't, good.
Yeah, and I think each coach as well. It's really probably the biggest thing I found is, again, it's got nothing to do with the physical training. A lot of it's just communication.
Yeah.
Connection with some clients along the way I just haven't connected with, as well as others.
Yeah.
Right?
But that's also like personalities and stuff. That
Absolutely.
100% of people aren't going to like you.
No.
If you try and do that, you're not going to be who you are.
Exactly. So, and even lately, I've had a better connection post-COVID, or post whatever lockdown, with some clients that I've been training for ages.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I noticed that myself. I mentioned to you the other day.
Yeah.
And like
you just and whatever. Maybe it's because again we miss. And they miss, right?
Yeah.
So everyone's miss. But and as a result, I've enjoyed it more.
Yeah.
Coaching, right? Because I've made better connections. And I don't think I've changed my style as such. In fact, it's probably been because I've lost clients.
Yeah.
Right? So I've lost clients, so then it means I have to connect better with the ones.
You have to put more into those people because they're the people you've got.
Absolutely.
So you have more, and you also have more to give because you're not spread.
Exactly.
Not necessarily that you're spread thin, but like you're not as spread across the board. So you can then focus. Yeah. And I think that's kind of goes against like the generalised thing and the specialised thing. Like sometimes you will be more spread because it's more of a funnel rather than anything else.
Yeah.
And because you're at a certain point where with your clients, you just have more time to be able to spend with each client.
And I think that, back to what we were saying, I think that's why semi-private, the small group semi-private, I think that's the way to go, just so you can have that connection.
I think also as well, like going just one-on-one or big group, you kind of screw yourself.
Yes.
Because it's kind of like the extreme of each.
Exactly.
So you're far left, far right.
Yeah.
Like in people, obviously massive things to talk about, like the American things, American elections coming up or whatever. There's people, I don't even understand all that.
Yeah.
You get my idea. Like they're two very extreme ends where the semi-private kind of falls more in that middle ground. You get to have that one-on-one time. You get to build that connection. You get them to be able to then do their own thing. But then there's also kind of a sense of community because they'll be training generally with the same people at the same time each week, every day, whatever it is.
So, yeah, I agree. That's why I think that's, again, could be completely wrong. But again, there's a space in the market for it.
Yeah, I also don't think it's ever going to be completely wrong because I find there'll be, if you personally like it as a coach, there'll be generally, it might not be a massive market, but there'll be a small market. And if you do it well enough, you're going to get paid either way.
Absolutely.
And you'll make enough money to do what you want.
And it's the same thing. Like for instance, our prices are based on what we offer, right?
Yeah. Well, really, it's kind of also what the general idea of the whole gym, and the kind of the area that we live in.
So it would make sense that one-on-one is the most expensive. Big group is the cheapest.
Yeah. Well, obviously personal training, but doing your own training.
Yeah, exactly.
Is the cheapest.
Yeah. And then, so in between is that, I think, semi-private, where you almost get that kind of one-on-one feel. It's probably going to be a bit more expensive, though, than group because of that.
Yeah.
Because of that reason, right? And as a result, you don't need as many clients. You don't need... the clients pay a bit more, but they also get...
More.
They get more. They get a connection, right? They're not just one in... And, like, you got to think...
I think they also get... They get better education on the training.
They just have to, right?
Yeah, because, like, you can't charge more and provide less, really.
Yes, absolutely.
Or provide the same as large group.
Yeah. Yeah, and, like, you know, you can think... And I also think I'll probably move to more semi-private because I personally couldn't think of anything worse than training in a really large group of people. Personally, myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if
that's more of a personality.
Yeah, that's more. Yeah. So if I was training with 19 other people, I'd be like, "Why am I sweating next to this person?" Dealing. That's just me.
I find I
group,
swing between.
Yeah.
I don't reckon small group would do it for me because it'd be not enough people. Like if I'm going to train in a group, because I'm so used to like large groups for rugby.
Yeah, right.
So I'm used to that environment for that specific reason, but it doesn't faze me.
Right.
But then when there's a smaller group, I kind of feel more out of place because I'm normally training by myself. So like, I'm kind of swing between the extremes.
Yeah. And I guess that's why people go to one-on-one or group.
Yeah.
And there are people doing semi-private. So, it's interesting. I think it's just stick. You just got to stick to it, though.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
100%. So that's.
Well,
do you want to be good and want to be
absolutely.
Do you want to see a result in any part of your life? You could be good. Like,
you got to stick to it for a while.
No, I can't remember who I was talking to the other day. I was like talking to them about coaching, but it kind of applies. And this is how I explain it to them. I'm like, it pisses me off when my clients don't turn up ready to train.
Yeah.
Or like half-assed or whatever. And then like I go, so you don't want to come to training? Yeah. Yeah, okay, cool, whatever. But would you do, like, if this is your job?
Exactly.
Like, what are you doing? Like,
yeah.
Like, turn up.
Yeah, like show up and
show up. Like, the minimum standard isn't to turn up. Like, people, and it was actually another coach, and she was saying like the minimum thing is to turn up. And this, we're talking about coaches, and I said, but as a coach, it's like that is not the minimum. Like that's not the minimum. You can't just turn up on the day. It's not acceptable. Yeah. In my opinion, right?
Yes.
Because if the minimum standard to get paid at work is to turn up, you don't actually have to do anything. Yeah. Then what's the point of employing that person?
Well, so
this, you know what I'm saying? Like,
and I think this is where people run into trouble because you can, like I think about when I was working in engineering, and it's not that I did a shit job. I did a pretty good job, but you can go through periods of time where you're just getting by, and they'll pay you.
Yeah.
Right. And so so it becomes standard that, and this, all right. So this starts. Let's go back even further. I was visiting family in Brisbane.
Yeah.
And I was late to see the soccer game, kids' soccer game. So I was late. I got there and I'm like, asked all the parents who were there. I didn't know who they were. I asked parents, "What's the score?" And they were like, "We don't keep score because it doesn't, like, you know, you don't want it."
Non-correct,
Yeah, right. And I understand the idea behind it, but I'm like, if you're playing soccer and the aim is to get the ball in the goal, then you should keep score.
Yeah.
Otherwise, take the goals away and just let them kick the ball. The point is to put it in, right?
Yeah, like the whole point of this competition. The kids know it. And they're keeping score anyway.
They know. Because otherwise, they wouldn't kick it into the net.
They wouldn't care.
They would just kick it. They wouldn't stay in the field. They would just go anywhere. And they're not the best at it, but they understand that they're meant to stay in the field. They're meant to get this thing in there.
Yeah, so they try. They're trying to do that.
So I'm like, then why are we here? Then it's not sport, right?
Yeah.
So the kids get classic participation. Then as you grow up, going through school, you show up. I remember, I don't know if you did, they'd give you like maths tests, this big national competition. And whatever. And you get this certificate, participation. I know, I was there.
I had to do that.
I don't need a certificate.
I didn't want to do that.
I don't need a certificate. You're basically telling me I'm shit. That's what you're telling me, that I did shit.
Yeah.
So then it goes into work, and you can get by, and people will pay you, and you can get by.
But there's a minimum standard. You can't just turn up to work and do fuck all.
No, that's the thing.
You have to meet. So like they'll put you on a performance plan, and then they'll like interview you and make sure everything's going right, and then they give you one more warning, and then kind of the full fourth thing, and then you're gone.
That's the thing.
It's like there's not benefiting the company.
So people are used to doing the minimum,
right?
Which is still work, right?
Yeah.
There's still some effort there, but it's not that much effort, right? Because like businesses need bodies to do, right? And so they come to training, and they're like, they put in minimum effort, right? Now, I also believe that you need to show up, right? But at a certain point, just showing up, it's like, yeah, all right, you're just taking the piss now, right?
Some days, like, if you show up, that's... And
some days
you've
are
got
going to be
some serious shit going on.
Some days are going to be...
Yeah, right. But that's for everyone. Like, that's for me,
that's
for
everyone.
you.
That's everyone.
Everyone in the whole world. But having the minimum standard as you must turn up is not...
No, it's not.
If your minimum standard is you must perform at, say...
Absolutely.
90% of your best every day, and people fall short and they're hitting 80%. That's still better than just turning up and giving it 10% effort.
So I think it's the minimum in society is so low, but then people come to training and think they can put that same effort in and get results. And you're like, and one, we know personally, so for what we've done for ourselves, and we know for what we've done for clients who've been successful. And you're like, I'm telling you now that this effort isn't enough. I'm going to let you know. If they do it once, it's like, all right, right. But if it's consistently what they show up with, you've got to be like, it's just not what's going to work. I'll let you know now. It's not going to work.
Yeah. Have you ever fired a client?
There were a couple of times when it was Nick and I, where it was close. There was a couple of clients where we genuinely, it brought us more stress to train them.
Yeah.
So we were very close. We were like, we would flip a coin to who would train these people, because we're like, I don't want to be the one training.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
I think also like, because you had that to dual coach, which is good. That I actually think that's a good idea. I think that's probably a way more coaching businesses should go.
Yeah.
And if they could get that male-female dynamic,
yes, absolutely,
it would be better, because some days even a man could benefit from having a female
absolutely,
rather than
absolutely. That might even be a podcast in itself, because that's a really good point. Like you're talking about those energies that super important. That's completely off the point I was going to come to. But I think where you have that opportunity, like if you're really flat and I was a bit more perked up, absolutely.
Like even though flipping the coins is that kind of a nice thing, it'd kind of be like, dude, you've got to do it. It's like if I do it, I'm probably going to like, I'm going to stab him. I'm either going to stab him or drive the car off the cliff on the way home. Like some days, and I think people as well like forget, like I'm fit, you're fit, like whatever, we're healthy, we're energetic, and that's because we do the work.
Yes.
But they also don't realise that we're human too, and some days we're flat.
Absolutely.
And they only expect us to be pepped up.
Yes. And it's super interesting. I draw a lot of energy from clients.
Yeah.
So, there'll be times where I'm just dead, and like the client comes in, and I'm guessing they're expecting something, and they've probably had something good happening in the day or whatever. And they seem pretty energetic, and then I'll perk up as a result. So it is a two-way street, But
some days as well, they come in, and you can just tell from when they walk in, you feel their energy.
You know straight away.
Oh, this is gonna be tough.
Yeah, and those are the days where the showing up is probably enough.
Yeah,
where you
and
get
I 100% like Jocko has a massive thing like, and on the days I don't feel like it. I do it anyway.
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
Like if a client came in and I could feel that energy,
yes, absolutely.
no dramas. Like I'll let it slide. But if the minimum standard is, as you said, turning up, then
well,
you're literally screwed. Like that should be the acceptable standard for the day you don't feel like doing anything.
Absolutely.
Like you don't feel like getting out of bed, just turn up.
Yes, absolutely.
Because once you turn up, you do something.
Yes. And
that little bit of anything is better than laying in bed doing nothing.
Well, and this is the thing. I think if their thing is showing up, they don't need to hire us.
No.
They don't need to. Like if the client...
Because you can't force them to turn up.
Yeah, exactly. And I would say to the client like that, I'm like, half an hour, go for a half-hour walk each day. Give it 9 to 12 months. You're going to be pretty lean. You're going to feel awesome.
Yeah.
And you didn't pay anything. It's a win. Like if that's all you got, and this goes back to what we were saying, that the training's not that complicated. A lot of stuff's not that complicated, right? But
legitimately, like one saying that, I don't know if they teach in all PT courses, but like SSC courses as well. But it's legitimately keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people are like, what does that mean? I'm like, keep it so simple. It doesn't matter how stupid you are, you can understand it.
Absolutely. And like and it's what's really interesting about that is I've actually found my programming getting simpler.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, and it's probably because my own personal programming is getting simpler. I find less exercises, pushing harder.
Yeah.
Right, taking it closer.
Kind of that Dorian Yates.
Yeah.
Idea of, he goes, working set.
Yes.
Not working sets.
Yeah, absolutely.
He goes, you do one exercise, do it one time, after you work up to whatever weight you're going to be working at, and you do it to absolute failure.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily recommend that.
Yes,
but
agree.
That idea of doing it heavier, pumping that intensity up is so much better than doing a half-ass effort at 30 different exercises.
Yes.
And I find as well, like I'm starting to simplify mine and do less, but I also focus so much more on not necessarily perfection, but chasing that perfect rep.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
absolutely. Do pitch perfect.
Yes.
Repeatedly.
Yes.
Do it half-ass.
Yeah, absolutely. Just going through the motions, right?
Yeah.
That relates to, like, you can turn up and do that, right? And just move the weight. And some days you do have to, because you're just feeling like death. But if you're feeling good, you got to... Well, all right, here's a question.
Yep.
What's more important, showing up when you're feeling like crap or absolutely kicking ass when you're feeling good? Or is there no better than the other?
I would say they're the same side of one coin.
Because
I think like those are the kind of the extremes.
Yes, definitely.
But also, I think more importantly than anything, it's what you do on the days you feel normal. It's not. I wouldn't say normal, but you kind of in that normality range. Like some days you feel a little flatter, some days you feel a bit more perky, but you kind of generally sit in like this 7 area, or like this area between like say 40 or 30 and 60 and 70%, that range, that mid range, that's probably more important because days you're gonna feel good and you're gonna smash it, and you're gonna kick ass.
Yeah.
days you feel like shit and you turn up, you're going to feel like shit and turn up. But they're going to be fewer than the days you kind of feel that not too good, not too bad. Just it's been a decent day.
I always tell clients it's if they come in and like they're feeling like shit, I'm like, all right, this is an important session then, because you just got to not quit.
Yeah.
Right. You just got to. You're here, sweet, and like clients will be, and this is where coaching comes in. Clients will be hard on themselves and be like, I wish I, did this more and this, and I'm like, I don't give a shit. You turned up. You feel like crap.
Yeah.
And you turned up.
You give it you can also tell like generally on those days once people turn up they give it a good crack.
Yeah.
Like, they can't give it what they normally give it.
Exactly.
But you can generally tell that
they try.
actually giving it because they're like, well, I've turned up.
Yes.
I'm going to give it.
You might as well. I might as well.
And then there's very occasional days, and it's probably the days I think sometimes people need to have that little bit of foresight of like, I've turned up 3 days and I feel like shit.
Yeah.
Probably should have this day off. But you can tell some days they turn up and from the get go it's just not there. And those days I will actually change what we do. And I'll do something where it's more restorative rather than where they don't need to rebuild so much. They don't need such a heavy resting period. Small stretching or lighter weights working on some not rehab, but working on those little injuries and those little niggles that they've had.
Absolutely. Yeah, I like to use those days as practice days.
Yeah.
So the weight's much less and we're focusing on form. And I'll probably cut back. There's a lot of times where I'll drop the last exercise because I'll be like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We got some work in.
You got some work, cool, we'll do some stretching. Or
it's really funny because I tell people that most days I'm not actually that keen to train. I'm not feeling like, but I think there's this like you've seen on social media, whatever, that people like finding motivation, and then the other thing is like you got to take action and then you find motivation, right? You got, and I tell people I'm like, well, actually most days I'm not actually feeling that crash on, right?
To be honest, most days I don't like. It's not necessarily I feel like training.
Yeah.
I feel like not training.
Yes.
Like I know what it feels like when I don't train.
Absolutely.
And I hate myself and I feel like a dog.
Yes.
Like a just piece of shit. So
absolutely.
I'd rather do something else.
Yeah, and that's basically I tell people I'm like that's more than 50% of the time for me. Yeah. Because I'm like most days, but I know that once I start, I'm probably going to have most of the time a pretty kick-ass session actually. Yeah. So most times from that, even though I felt, and that's one thing, like communicating that, especially to potential clients, is like, don't worry about motivation. You just go. The first thing you got to do is show up. If you show up, I'm confident that you'll have a good. Yeah. Like you'll be sweet.
Because once you start moving, you're like, well,
you always feel better, right? You always
and I think as well, like people either make a pact to themselves that's so far-fetched that I'm going to train 7 times a day for the next year. So you're a CrossFitter now.
Exactly.
Or they don't make it big enough.
Yes.
I'll be like, all right, I'm going to turn up this one day. Rather than like, hey, I'm going to turn up every day for the next month that I have scheduled. Yeah. So, hey, it's 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm going to turn up every Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the next month, no matter what, and I'll reassess after that.
It's funny you say that because for the first month, I always have clients only do twice a week. Yeah. And then I increase from there. Yeah. Because I'm like, let's be real. I know you probably want to do more, but you're going from 0 to a lot, right? Which is...
Yeah, 0 to 200%.
Yeah, right.
Pretty much. Like,
it doesn't make sense, right? We know it doesn't make sense. But the other thing is, which I remind them, is you're going from 0 time to now 2 hours. Where have those 2 hours been before? So now you have to change your schedule to find those 2 hours. It's only 2 hours, but all of a sudden you have to leave work earlier. You have to get clothing prepared. It's an actual shift. It's like, oh man, actually I've got to make a real effort for this 2 hours. So it's like, all right, let's get this in place, and then we can increase.
Yeah, because also people this is something I talk about with people. I coach, but people don't look at their schedule necessarily. Like, I don't have time for it. I'm like, well, what about this time?
Yeah,
Between these two things,
yeah.
And I see that.
Yeah, and it's like, but people, I think people need to learn that and need to get into a new schedule, and the idea of going 7 days a week. It's like, you didn't have 70 hours before.
Well, if you did, you scroll on Instagram.
Yeah,
and you know you scroll on Instagram.
It's like, so, and even breaking that habit of an Instagram scroll is a mission in itself, right?
Yeah.
So I always start clients actually pretty slow, which may or may not be a good thing. But I always tell people when they start, I'm like, I'm starting you slow. I'm thinking in a year, right? You're thinking in 8 weeks, sweet. But
you're thinking summer.
Yeah,
I'm thinking next winter.
Yeah, it's like you've got to be real here, because I can smash you and you can sprint. That's sweet, but you just can't maintain that, and then you'll get fed up. It's too much. You get tired, and this is something that I know you're really good at. Is people training. The reason people should train more is because it gives immediate feedback, right? So you finish your training session and you feel good, right?
Yeah.
And the reason people struggle is because diets don't provide immediate feedback, right? You have a salad and you're like, shit,
fucking hungry.
Yeah, give me a donut.
Yeah.
I want a fucking donut. Like
I do love me a donut.
I love a donut. Mate, if I could just eat donuts, I would. Like, I love donuts, right? So you get more immediate response from a donut than a salad, right? And the same comes with recovery, right? And this is where I'm kind of going with this, where you're really good at this, that people like. So once they get into training, sweet, awesome, they start smashing it, and you're like, okay, whoa, because you got to do recovery to match that, right? You can't just smash, right? And the reason,
it's not like Hulk smash.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason people struggle with that concept is because although it does provide some, I feel like recovery doesn't provide that same immediate feedback as.
It's also generally more boring.
Yeah, it's boring,
and
right?
a lot more painful.
Yeah, it's boring. Like it's the same as the salad. Like the salad's like it's. And I've had people say, no, you can get some good salads. And I'm like, what are you comparing it to? The best salad in the world versus the best fucking donut or steak or whatever. It's like, this is not a competition.
I mean, if you're a full-blown vegan and you don't like meat, you probably like the salad more than I like the steak.
Exactly.
But
they probably still like the donut more though.
They do like the donut.
If it was a vegan donut, they'd be like, it's still this donut. So, and this is, it's like, it's easy to smash yourself in the gym, but sometimes we've got to step back and be like, well, I'd rather people slow down because I know that they're not going to do the recovery.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of boring. So if that's the case, then why try to smash yourself relentlessly to the point where you can't maintain it beyond 6-8 weeks, right?
Yeah, so. And like, I love the 8-week challenge for getting people moving, but the general 8-week challenge is probably also kind of killing the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and like, I've said this plenty of times. The weight that you lose in 8 weeks, you can put back on in 8 weeks.
Less.
Right.
Because you stop.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're so beat down that because you haven't done any recovery that you need time to recover.
Yeah.
And then you go, well, I couldn't eat any of this food for 8 weeks, and you go fucking nuts.
Okay, nuts, right? But so people are like, oh yeah, sweet, I've got lean in 8 weeks. And I'm like, well, then that means potentially in 8 weeks I'll see you back here doing in the exact same weight. Yeah, in another 8 weeks. Let's just say, if you added weight at the same rate that you just lost it, you can understand that because you've just lost it.
Yeah.
So you know that you can put it. So it's like, all right, then that means probably you should train for another 8 weeks. So then it's going to take you 16 weeks to put the weight back on, right? So it's like, that means that the more you train, the harder it gets to put weight back on, right? Because now you're shifting the scales to a habit of exercise is your default versus doing sweet FA. And if you can kind of start shifting the scale the other way
into a positive habit, not necessarily that like resting, like doing nothing is a negative habit, but
absolutely,
it's generally a more positive habit to do things.
Do things, right? And
the more you do things, the better you're going to get at that thing.
At doing things, right? So the more you're used to doing. So it's kind of like, well, instead of thinking 8 weeks, let's just think about a year then.
Well, we've had this discussion a few times. We've had like this kind of conversation, but also this discussion of, hey, I want to do a 20-year fucking challenge.
Yeah, well, I have put out the feelers for a 6 month, and people have come back to me, and I always said if I got the numbers, I'd run it. And I always get a few people, and it makes me think there is some interest. Some people do think that long term. It's hard. It's understandable because
life can change so much in 6 months.
Yeah, most people
but
can't.
Also, the people are worried about that change in 6 months. I'm not thinking about the change they can achieve in that 6 months. Like, yes, hey, your life can drastically change negatively or whatever outside of your physical health, but you can also change so much in that time.
Yeah.
That they kind of fall short in that area.
Yes, yeah, and that's the 8 week is good for getting people in.
I just think there's probably something, if you're going to do an 8 week, there's something you should have some responsibility to then provide, not necessarily another 8 week challenge, but some kind of graduation program.
Yeah,
so like, awesome, you smashed it, you lost your weight. Let's move you into 12 weeks, or let's move you into 3 months, 4 months, 6 months of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, maybe offer them at a discounted price too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because after that, they've built that habit of coming to you, and then in the future, they're going to be like, damn, this guy's helped me in the last year lose this much weight, feel so much better, he's built these better habits for me. I'm going to stick with him.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does. There's lots of schools of thought with it. I like, you named it. We ran one early on, a 6 weeker, and I haven't done anything since because I just. Is that making it harder for myself, or I see the benefit in them. It doesn't mean that I have to partake in that cycle. I feel like that gets people in this cycle of up and down, right? So,
and I think that's where that benefit of having that graduation program.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, even if it kind of like an off ramp, like that's the on ramp, and then the next like off ramp to not be coached by you, but you kind of have that gradual like.
Absolutely.
You might have a maintenance period and a down, so it's like getting ramped up, getting in, doing something, keep them there, and then kind of ramp them off into doing their own thing, or going to group fitness where they enjoy doing it for the fact that they like exercising, not necessarily that they have crazy goals to lose heaps of weight, but they're just trying to keep where they're at. They're not trying to get super fit, they're not trying to gain heaps of weight or anything. It's kind of happy where they are, happy moving and staying physically healthy.
Absolutely. And I guess, when you have a consultation with a client, asking the right questions is going to help as well, right? So if you're asking the right questions and you're understanding what their real purpose is for the training, the real reason why they want, which is rarely to lose weight, that leads to something else, right?
Yeah.
They want to feel something. So if you can get that, then you're probably just going to get more buy-in anyway beyond 8 weeks or something. Especially if you can show them the path that you're going to do that.
Yeah.
Hey, you see an 8 week challenge on Facebook and people are probably going to click it.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough as well.
Because it gets them to do something.
Right?
And it's not like we're saying don't do it.
No. It's a low barrier of entry, right?
Yeah.
It's good. So that's good. And it's like, well, what works out better? Talking about long term with them, which might feel a bit overwhelming, or offering something like an 8-week, where they short, and then they just stay on because I felt better, so I'm just going to stay on. It's like, which one's whatever? I don't know which one's best. You'd have to look at the data, but it's like, if you're helping that client, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Who gives a shit which way you do it, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So outside of coaching, you still obviously like health and doing stuff like that. You've recently built a veggie garden.
Built a veggie garden. COVID has made me realise that I cannot rely on supermarkets.
For toilet paper.
For toilet paper. Toilet paper, I would just shower, right? I would just wash myself off. You do like maybe, 5 or 6 squares initially, and then shower.
Yeah.
Sweet as, right? You still got water. Hose yourself off out the back if you need to, right? Problem solved. So the toilet.
Mate, you've got a hand. You've got some Dettol.
Exactly. Like, just wash it off. It's like the toilet paper thing is weird, but you reckon?
So close.
So what? I was not worried about toilet paper.
So when it first happened, I had no idea. Because I'm not necessarily walking in. I was going, I better go get me some shit paper. Mum calls me up. She's like, you need to probably go to the supermarket and get some toilet paper. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
What?
Weird. Yeah.
So out of the blue, she's like, people just buying up all the toilet paper? I was like, nah, this is going to be a joke. Yeah, for like next 6 weeks, I couldn't find toilet paper.
It's so weird.
It's so
of all
weird.
the things. Anyway. But it just got me thinking that just relying. Well, it got me thinking. I mentioned the Matrix before.
Yeah.
There's a fucking system. Bro, there's a system.
Yeah.
There's a full system, and we're so deeply entrenched in the system that we don't know there's a system, which is when it's worse, right? And I'm like, all right, what are steps I can take to get out of just reliance on the system? So we started, and it's not like a big garden or anything, but we started.
It looks pretty good. I've seen some photos. It looks pretty good.
It's getting better. Obviously, springtime, so more things are growing, but it's also become a way to detach from everything.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of like a meditative.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And this is one of these things where, we talk about health and training. Again, training is the best thing for immediate response.
Yeah.
But if it only took training, everyone would be shredded.
Yeah, everyone would be everything.
Everyone would be everything, right? And the biggest thing for me is mental health. That's my biggest focus with clients, really.
Yeah.
Mental health, because one, because everyone's going to be affected by it, and two, because most people aren't going to get shredded.
Yeah.
They come
also not the goal.
Yeah. For a lot of them, it's not. But people come in thinking, I want a 6-pack, and it's like, listen, the chances of you getting that, I'll be real, probably pretty low. Otherwise, everyone would have 6-packs, right? It's just a percentage thing. It's just a math thing. And I'm like, I can get you there. There's a reason you want that, right? It's not to show off. There's some other thing, right?
Yeah, some psychological factor.
Some psychological factor, right? So it's mental health. That's the key thing. And it's like, and just getting out in the sun and just seeing green and just like chilling the fuck out from your work is probably going to help a lot of people.
I think also it probably goes back to our hunter-gatherer days.
Absolutely.
There's got to be some part of our DNA that's like, hey, this is some shit we need to be doing.
Absolutely.
I'm not agreeing with Tommy at all, but I don't enjoy it. But if I mow the lawn or something, after I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, there's something about being out. You think about really industrial revolution. What was it? 150 years.
Yeah.
Right. We were in factories, so at least we were moving in factories, right?
Yeah.
So it was an unnatural environment, but at least we're moving. So in the last 30, 40 years, it's gone to office mostly.
Yeah.
Looking at screen, artificial lights where you're not moving at all. Like, I don't. The previous 40,000, 50, 60 million years of evolution versus these 40 years, I'm like, yeah, I think we're meant to be outside. I think this is unnatural. Yeah, we need to.
I think that is too. And like, so the Aboriginal culture's now been dated back to like 100,000 years ago. That is wild. They didn't do anything 200 years ago. They're living the exact same way they were living 100,000 years ago.
Absolutely.
Like,
I feel like there are some lessons we can take from that,
like
right?
And so like obviously Australia's had some pretty shit flies at the start.
Mm-hmm.
But I read something the other day that this is in America, but the California government banned all backburning.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
But that's what the Native Indians did, or whatever the Indian Americans, whatever they like to be called, did when they lived there. And then someone came out and they goes, we've actually looked at it and we probably need to start doing backburning. It's like, the guys are there for thousands of years before you got there.
Absolutely.
Kind of knew what they're doing.
They kind of knew. I feel
I don't know the exact, but I knew Aboriginals did similar things. They only like the gum trees, and the only way they're going to grow and be fruitful and prosper is to have that burn, so that lets the gums let go of the seeds, so they get more trees. Yeah,
and again, we can overcomplicate everything with health, and I just don't. Well, I talk about this a lot. The blue zones. The blue zones in the world are the apparent longest lived people in the world, healthiest people, and happiest people, which is like a fucking trifecta to have, right?
Yeah.
And there's Okinawa in Japan, there's an island in Greece, Sardinia in Italy, there's one in like Peru, and there's a Adventist community in California. Right, there's like 5 or 6 or something, and they've just got like the most centurions. So people are just living long there, super healthy, and they're just happy. And a few things that they've got. All right, well, no, put it this way: a few things that they don't do: CrossFit, bodybuilding. They don't train in the fucking gym. They don't do any of these things, right? What is very Western kind of idea of health, right? And not that those things are bad, right? But they have a purpose and they spend a lot of time with friends. Yeah. They've got good, strong social communities. They spend a lot of time outside. Yeah. Doing their stuff. And I'm like, it's not that complicated, right?
Time with friends. Out in the sun.
Oh,
we've got something.
You got
all right, 1 sec.
We'll cut this part out.
No, I'm going to leave it in.
No. We'll leave it in. Just getting deliveries. Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I just got my
what's that?
What you call it? CPR.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
I know how to suss you now. Like, if you have a heart attack, I'll sort you out. They've changed it completely 0 since last time we did it. No. So I don't know why it turned up.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So blue zones. I just think it's like you see online. It's like 5 things you need to do to get lean for summer, and it's like we're just focusing on the wrong shit.
Or 5 things you need to do to be happier.
Yeah.
And it's like, buy this fucking thing.
And it's like we're just. I don't think it's that complicated, and I think we're just going a bit crazy. I think seriously, go for a walk, get some sun, just hang out with some friends, have a beer with friends. Yeah, you get what I mean? Like,
100%.
And the reason I love training is because it's really difficult. You have to do something difficult to get a reward, right? All that stuff. But if someone is like, oh, I want a 6-pack, that's not a bad goal. Like, I've got nothing wrong with that goal. In fact, they should do it because it's really hard, and they'll probably be better for the process, right? The process is. So having a big goal is awesome. It's just that the idea of health is so out of whack that were people 100,000 years ago, obviously they were dying much younger, but I don't think it was because they weren't training in the gym, right?
No,
there were other factors,
whole
right?
life was just hard.
Like their whole life was hard, right? So it's kind of like,
I think also like their physicality probably been a lot better than that because their whole life was hard. Like you want some water, you go down to the supermarket,
Absolutely.
you go to the well, you got to put the bucket down there, pull that thing back up, and then you got to carry it 7 k's home.
So
go carry a bucket of water for 10 k's.
Absolutely. So it's like you just I just think that health in general, and that's basically why the garden, to bring it back. That's why we've got the garden, so that it's like, just get outside and just disconnect. Just get away from a screen that's there, right?
Yeah.
We don't even look long distances anymore. It's only short distance.
Yeah.
So it's like, just get outside and get in the sun.
The screen. Yeah.
Just like grow something, and that process alone is rewarding. But
so what do you got in the garden?
At the moment, spinach, kale, a lot of herbs, lettuce, beans. And since we're coming into summer, we'll get cucumbers and tomatoes going.
Nice.
So we're limiting variety and going more for quantity. A few things a lot, so that you don't have to buy those things.
Yeah.
But
probably more the things that you also eat.
Yes,
most.
That's the thing. Yeah. That's the things that we want to do. More that we eat the most anyway. So I need to get Jen sometimes. She's like, maybe we should grow potatoes. And we don't eat potatoes most of the time, right? Like, so why are we growing it? Like we do. And it takes up heaps of space, and it's not that big a yield. I'm like, no, we don't have the space. So yeah, that's kind of my things: business and garden. That's about it at the moment. And the next thing will be mountain biking.
Don't much?
Not much, and especially now that I've got a puncher and I'm too lazy to buy a new wheel. I got to buy a new wheel, and I'm like, I'm too lazy to get this right now. So at the moment, I have a very good mountain bike. Well, it's not very good, but it's a pretty good mountain bike at home, without a front wheel, waiting for some love and attention.
I like it.
Yeah. It's no bow hunting. It's no bow hunting like your bit. And yeah, the trail running, I definitely want to get into that.
Yeah. That is some hard going shit though. Like.
Yeah, and that's why. And obviously the biggest thing, definitely when the pandemic is over, in 20 years' time by the sound of it.
In 2044,
yeah.
we'll be back to normality.
Yeah, exactly.
If we ever. Like people are always talking about like back to normality. I don't think
things will change.
There's going to be a normality.
No. I think
it'll go back to somewhat.
Yeah.
Of what we were, but I don't think it's ever going to be back to exactly how it was pre-COVID.
No, and you can just imagine it'll become more frequent, something like this.
Yeah, and I think also a lot of people talk about our industry and they talk about like restrictions on gyms and stuff, but I feel like it's kind of been a good thing for the gyms. Like, I mean, not that there's been much transmission in Australia anyway through that, but the fact that a lot more places are actually being more hygienic and stuff.
Yeah, totally.
So much better.
Yeah, so much better.
Because when I first got in the industry, you'd hear about every second gym having golden staph or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Staph infections and like, well, this is sus. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if I want to be training here, like, but now like with the high responsibility on the actual clients, members to clean.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot better.
It's a lot better, and there's two. So that's super positive for the gyms.
Yeah.
One, I guess you could say negative for the gym. I don't know if it's a negative as such. I mean, whatever. Positive for people is it almost forced them to think literally outside the gym, right?
Yeah.
So, and I love training in the gym, right? The gym's awesome because it's a controlled environment to do your shit, right?
Yeah.
You've got the equipment there, right? So it's awesome. It's awesome for that reason. And if you want to go get healthy, a gym's a pretty bloody good place to go, right? Do your training.
People know their shit there,
Absolutely. So, but I've never believed that we have to be fixed into the gym.
Yeah.
Right? If you want to get jacked, then probably the gym's a pretty good place. You're not going to have the equipment. You're very unlikely to have your own equipment to get proper jacked.
But you might have a barbell and a lot of weights.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
You'll be super strong,
Yeah.
probably not jacked.
But if you just want to be generally healthier, add a bit of muscle, feel better, you don't need to be locked into the gym for that, right? You don't need to. So that's been a negative because people are like, wow, they probably bought some equipment and they've just been doing stuff and learning.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's there's good and bad to come from it. But
I think the biggest thing is people got to learn that it's changed people. Well, not everyone, but it's changed a lot of perspective for a lot of people on things that are important, which is I think is a great thing.
Brilliant thing.
I think people need to stop focusing on some restrictions and stuff, but try and change and shift their perspective of what things that they used to do that
Absolutely.
kind of wasted time. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah,
The things that you value.
Like, say you live to 100 years. Awesome, that's fucking great. But that's relatively a small period of time.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, if the Aboriginals have been here as a culture, have been here for 100,000 years, that's 100. That's fuck all.
That's all it is. Yeah, and it's definitely. And hey, let's bring it back to the coaching for a sec, where we talk about the face-to-face, the value in that. Because of this, because you don't have that time with people, you're like, oh wow, coaching face-to-face is really important, and that's I think it's a value that people have realised with this. It's like, oh, spending time with friends, mostly friends. A lot of people have been able to spend time with them. But for instance, I couldn't see my parents because my mum would probably be high risk, I'd say, for the first 6 months of the year. 6 months.
Yeah.
Live half an hour away. Would not see her probably for 6 months, really.
Yeah.
And it's like, you miss that.
You miss having the opportunity to go see them.
Absolutely. And it's like when all of a sudden, when things are removed, it's like, oh, okay, what do I value now?
Yeah.
People probably missed going to the gym, either for the social or for feeling healthy. So all of a sudden it's like, okay, social, we've mentioned that. It's like, oh, feeling healthy. Health is pretty important.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good value, I reckon.
Yeah.
Yourself being healthy, all of a sudden you can't do that as much. It's like, oh, okay. So that's pretty important. A lot of the work is still important, but I'm sure people would be like, why the fuck am I doing this?
Yeah, why am I busting my ass?
Yeah, why am I
7 to 9?
Yeah.
Whatever people bust their ass for to make extra 20 grand a year when I'm miserable and every time I hang out with family, I just want to go to sleep.
Absolutely. So,
I definitely changed my perspective. Like, I was in that, like, I want to be smashing it, like, blah, blah. And then kind of sat back and was like,
what?
Listen, really, like, I love coaching, but I don't think it's something I want to do, like, as a full-time occupation.
Yeah.
And I want to move into more of a kind of like a role model for people that just want to be able to do random things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go chase whatever it is.
Absolutely.
And have enough money to be able to live and not worry about money. I'm in no way, shape, or form there, but that's kind of where I've kind of shifted my goals to. I want to build my identity around certain things and be able to make enough money that I don't have to worry about money.
Yep.
So I want to go out and have dinner with people that, cool, I can do that, no dramas at all, and be financially stable.
Yep.
But I also can go skydiving,
absolutely.
and not necessarily be locked into that. I have to be here at this time throughout my whole life.
Absolutely. And I think it's odd that it takes a pandemic for us to realise this stuff. But even the garden, the garden is one of those things where
it's provided through that time, that forced kind of time.
Absolutely, yeah, right.
I think a lot of people would have benefited mentally Also suffered, but benefited at the start mentally from that. Okay, cool. We got a good time off.
Absolutely.
I can chill out. I can kind of get my head in order.
It's
yeah. I think it's kind of double-edged sword in regards to mental health.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think at the start it would have been good for a lot of people who were like run thin, kind of stretch real far because we've got so many things on. Where it just kind of shut down.
Yeah.
You kind of had to regather yourself.
And I guess we talked a bit. I touched on the mental health thing before, but the training. Yeah, the training is always only part of the equation ever. Right?
Yeah.
And I guess it's a guess, but I think some people don't see the full results because they're missing probably the extra work, the self work that you should do. And again, this comes back to the system. You got to buy the house, right? You got to buy the cars. You got to work this job. Like we base so much on
status,
how much you earn, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, is that really what you value?
Yeah. So something that came from lockdown for me was that question of, but do you?
But do you? What? And what? It's
like, if you want to buy a house, that's great. I'm not telling you that you should buy a house.
Buy a house. Do it.
Eventually, I want to buy a house.
Yeah.
Because it seems like a good idea.
Yeah.
Seems like a financial smart idea.
Yeah.
But do you need to? No.
Absolutely.
What about Elon Musk? Sold all of his properties. Goes, you know what? I'll rent.
He's
just so people can't go like, hey, you live in this mansion, blah blah blah. You own like the whole neighborhood or whatever. So, all right, well, fine. I'll sell it all. We'll live in a rental.
I've told Jen before. I'm like, one day you'll get home and all our stuff will be on the front yard because I've lost my mind because I don't need this stuff. Yeah. The when you have less is I've always thought that when you have less things, you think more clearly.
Yes, right. I agree. I think you're also a bit happier because you're kind of happy with not necessarily the things that you've got, but you're kind of happy because like you're not worried about.
You're not worried.
Where's that thing? Where's this thing? Where's that?
That's what.
You have to take up so much.
Exactly.
So much bandwidth of your brain power to like knowing where your shit is.
Perfect. That's probably the perfect way to describe it. It's always there.
Yeah.
It's always there. The best way is just fucking delete it. Literally throw the thing out. Oh, space.
Sell it.
And
get rid of it.
Get rid of it.
You want.
I always think about because I do like my philosophies.
Yeah.
And a lot of our modern ideas are based on ancient philosophies. Ancient, whatever. Old philosophies, 2,000 years plus, right?
Yeah.
And I think to myself, why is it that a lot of our ideas are based on, current ideas are based on such old philosophies? What's happened in between? We literally come up with nothing in between. And we really haven't. There's not that much different. We've added a bit to it, and I'm like, I think it's because, this is my theory, they had space. Because they just didn't have that much shit.
Yeah.
They had also
they had time. They had time and space because, like, if you were a great hunter, and you were trying to catch something, and your idea was to set a trap, you're gonna just abandon your trap. And you're gonna wait.
Yeah. So it's like.
So in that time, you got time to think.
And
you can be like, hey, Marco, what if we got a stick and we threw it at the fish instead of catching it with our hands? And then you can be like, what if we built a rock wall and the fish got stuck in the rock wall?
All of these things, I just think you had the space. And I know it because I'll end up scrolling on Instagram for 5 minutes and then you stop and you're like, where'd that time go? We're just distracted by too much shit.
Yeah.
It is, and I'm not like, I'm not one of those conspiracy theorists, but for example, it helps Instagram for you to stay scrolling on there for a long time, right?
Yeah.
because they've got advertisements there. So
you make more money.
So then they make more money. So this isn't some big conspiracy that Instagram is part of this grand system to control us or anything. I don't think that at all.
No.
But they are trying to come up with an algorithm that's going to keep you on there longer, right? So that you may buy more shit, so that people will
then
advertise on it, right? They'll advertise on it, so then you buy stuff from it. So if it works, businesses will advertise on it. So it's like we just get distracted by so much crap now.
I've been finding more and more that I'm trying to unplug rather than
unplug. I would one day. I'm going to get when we moved into the house we live in at the moment. We had a TV and we didn't plug it in for a year. And I think back and I'm like, man, that was a really good year. I think back and I'm like, I worked on the things I need to work. I still had, internet and all that, but I worked on. So at night, we would just talk, we wouldn't watch TV, just mindlessly, right? And I just think that, people need to unplug more. I totally believe people need to unplug more. We want to. The thing is, we want to get distracted.
Yeah.
Because, when you're not distracted, you probably got to face truths that you don't want to face.
Yeah.
Right.
I think also like you're talking about like what if ways or there are like ideas based in ancient philosophies or ancient ideas. It's because back then they had time and they got bored.
Yeah.
They had to figure out ways to not be bored.
Yeah.
And a way to do that is think of things.
They were thinking of things, right?
Well, now we get bored. I'm so guilty of it.
People
straight on Instagram, straight on Facebook, straight on Snapchat, straight on your phone, looking at. Oh, hey, I want to buy this meaningless thing.
Yes, and lately I've become way better at not buying things. I don't really buy much anymore because I don't give a shit. I'm just like, just the effort of buying something. I can't even make the effort. But I still get distracted on stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, and I'm not someone who believes that you need to like hustle and grind all the time.
Yeah.
But if you did want to do that, I would probably get off Instagram and off Facebook, right? It's like if that's your thing that you want to put in, go for it. But you probably not going to
realize you're probably not going to have a social life.
Yeah.
That means you're probably not going to have a good. In your social media account, you might not necessarily take a hit, but it might be more you post, you comment, reply to a few comments, and then get off.
Yeah, it's like you just put in the work, and the work isn't. And people like, you can create a brand on social media. Yeah, well, that is work. That means
that means you're working.
That means you're working. You're not mindlessly scrolling, right? You'll set aside time. I'm going to reply to things. I'm posting whatever.
I'm commenting on other people's posts. You're doing the things that are going to get you somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah. My thought is, if you're not into that hustle and grind thing, then you should probably be disconnecting.
Yeah.
Right? So you should, instead of like
staying connected.
Yeah, instead of staying connected, disconnect, just unplug. And if you are in that hustle and grind, then you're staying connected for a very specific purpose. Otherwise, you're not anywhere. You're not on those social media things. You're just there, focused on, mate, I watch stuff there. Oh God, NBA. I don't even really care. I could literally just get the score and go, sweet. Because I just don't watch it, right? But it's like all of a sudden, 5 minutes later, and I've seen all the scores, I've seen all the opinions on. It's like
everyone's opinion on what LeBron's going to do and where
this guy thinks he should. And it's cool. Right? Again, people need to unwind and all that, but that can easily become a habit in itself, a distraction habit. And I'll just your trail running, your bow hunting, these are all really disconnections, right? Sure, you might be listening to some music, but you're not scrolling through.
Yeah.
You're not scrolling through anything as you go for a run, right?
So I started off when I started trail running recently. I was doing like maybe half 20 minutes, half an hour. I was just like going for a run. And the whole idea was not to like try and be off my phone at all, listen to music or podcast or whatever I'm listening to. And I might take a photo during the thing, but just try and go the whole time.
Yeah.
And then after a while, I build up that bit of tolerance. Yeah. I would leave my phone. This is like mentally battling myself. I'd leave my phone on loud so I'd know I'd get messages or I'd know I'd get like a comment or a Snapchat or whatever, and just fight the mental urge to then look at it.
Yeah.
So then the other day I went on a 90-minute run and like did the same thing. And I was like binging for like the whole time. I'm like, I am strong. I am strong. Like,
that's awesome. It's
yeah, and I found like I felt so much better in myself for having that like self-control of not checking things. And like I said, I'd like take maybe a photo here and there. Yeah. But so I'd see all the notifications and I'd be like, okay, cool. Like I have a Snapchat from this person. I'm like, whatever. I don't care right now. I think if we do that more. And kind of stop that instant gratification. It makes everything else easier. So like, your training becomes easier because you're not worried about that instant gratification of how you're feeling.
Absolutely.
You're able to do the shit work, which is stuff where you might not get that massive sweat on and stuff like that.
And one thing I've been, and I also find myself battling this as well, especially if I'm like messaging a friend or something. So I like to have the phone there to keep messaging during the session. But most of the time I like to train without a phone.
Yeah, and you also have no headphones.
No headphones. I don't train. The shit music that's on is the shit music I'll listen to. And I'm like...
If it's good music, you obviously listen to good music, but it's whatever's on.
Sometimes I want to put on Taylor Swift. For the fact that I know I'll hate it, just so I can get through, right? Sometimes I just want to be like, it's not... And I've complained about music, right? I've complained about the music. But I know it's not about the music. Is that it? Is that the thing?
No, it's...
That's stopping my session being good? The music.
No, I think people use it as a scapegoat.
Absolutely.
It's definitely a scapegoat thing. It's not them. They're mentally not there with all the other problems, but... They have the right music and train hard.
Exactly.
Right.
And
hey, like, all right, I've got those problems. I need to detach from them right now because I'm focused on whatever I'm focusing on right now. Yeah. And that's why, like, I wanted to go skydiving for my birthday. Yeah. And I want to learn skydive because you must perform now. It's not.
Yes.
You need to worry about what bills you need to pay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You got to be there in the moment. Yeah. You've got to be performing, or you're going to be dying.
And I think, like I know, like, shit, Metallica, I love throwing Metallica on the train because it will pump me up. No, I get pumped up. I'm like, you have to stop looking for an excuse, right?
Not
as to
train,
why.
Not to do whatever
why
you do.
not to do. Like, so the music, that's why I'm like, put the phone on. I'm like, does anyone, I should probably do my social media thing and blah, 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 whatever. And it would be good to listen to music. I'm like, the person who's messaging me, they can wait, right? Because this is my session, this is my time, right? They can wait.
Well, back in the day,
you'd
write a fucking letter.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta wait 6 months.
Back in the day, you didn't, like, Arnold wasn't scrolling through his phone. There's a reason, there's a lot of reasons, but he's jacked. That when he went training, they trained, right?
He trained for like 6 hours.
Yeah, they were training.
He had nothing else to do.
So it's like
he wasn't like checking out who's the hottest thing on Instagram
absolutely.
Right now.
And like, it bugs me when I do it, and I still do it.
Too.
Yeah. But I'm like, I was scrolling. I'm like, what the fuck am I looking? Like, and that's why I've gone back to pen and paper. I'll write it down. That's all it is. I'm just trying to move heavier weight each session. It's as simple as that. And fuck music. I don't give a shit. And it's like. For that reason, where you're trying to remove, either you remove where you've got the external distractions, but you fight against them. I just remove it and be like, all right, just be in the moment. Like,
I think that's massive. I know you're quite stoic and obviously like this stoic philosophy and stuff. I read a quote that this is badly paraphrased, but it was something like, the more you focus on tomorrow and yesterday, the less time you enjoy what you have in front of you, or something like that. Yeah. Like, it's a pretty bad paraphrase, but basically it was saying that if you are so focused on what's past or what's in the future that you're not actually there in the moment, you're going to miss out on everything that you've actually done in life.
Absolutely.
And I find myself when I'm like that as well. I go through periods when I'm super like that, and everyone does. I find I enjoy myself less. I'm less happy, and I'm more frustrated.
Yeah.
There's just so many negative things that I find come along.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's super interesting that.
You find you're less productive?
Yeah, like, again, it's those distractions. I think.
Yeah, because you're so like, I've got to do this and blah, blah, blah. I find if I'm like mindful of what I'm doing,
it just flies, right?
You're so much better off as productivity.
Yeah, you're just getting that flow state.
Yeah, just so much better.
Yeah, no, I think social media is really good for that. But technically, social media, a lot of it is the past, right?
But
it's been posted.
100% is the past,
right,
because
it's been posted,
like if you say you post a photo on Instagram,
like
unless you go live,
unless you go live,
even then it's still technically, because it's got to travel through the
exactly,
so
right.
3 milliseconds.
So even if it's live, at which point you're not physically with the person anyway, unless you're there with them. Unless it's this, right? Unless it's this, the noticing really is in the past. So like you're looking at that, you're distracted by that past, and then this is where it gets bad. Then you're comparing yourself to not only someone's past, but someone's what's the word?
Someone's highlight of their past.
Someone's highlight, right? It's basically a highlight. They're made to look. They're standing next to that car. They're standing in front of that house. They're posing in this way. It's like not even the full story. It's like no history. So it's like, and it's not that people shouldn't post that, but for you to compare yourself to that.
Yeah.
I'm not. Look, social media has so many benefits, but
it also has a few drawbacks.
You have to be really aware.
Yeah.
You have to be super aware, and people aren't. They don't have time to be aware because they're distracted on social media.
I think I probably should do this myself, but a good strategy for using social media would be follow less people.
Yeah, and I've cut back a lot.
I know you have, and I think it also makes it easier not to scroll as much. Probably.
Yeah, and also I find. So
like David Goggins, he's on there. He has a massive following. He doesn't follow anyone.
He's so badass.
I don't know if he's like my man.
So all of his stuff.
You just gotta get up and fucking do it. Especially with coaching. Yeah. Like you can follow. There are certain coaches I follow, but even a lot of them, some of the top coaches I've stopped following because, and it's not because their stuff isn't awesome. My thought is, if you're gonna follow them, right? Like, so commit to what they're saying and like learn from them. Like, learn from a few people. When you got so much input, you're trying to learn from so many people that, and hey, learning. You've always got to be learning all of that, but you just don't take any of it. Firstly, you don't take any of it in, and you get differing opinions as well. I think differing opinions is a good thing because it allows you to see both sides. Yeah. It also allows you to challenge your perspective and your viewpoint. Yeah. But I think having too many perspectives and too many argument points and whatnot makes it a lot different.
And the having too many is again, it's good to see it all, but it's good to see it all. But the worst thing is they're probably all right.
Yeah.
So then it's like, well, that hasn't helped me because this person says, oh, don't do this squat. And then this person says, do this squat. And then you look at the results and you're like, right, they both got really these
They
two.
both got good focus.
They got really good results with their clients. So maybe it's got nothing to do with the squat, right? All of a sudden it's like, but they're telling you this, and it's like, oh, you focus on. So it's kind of like, you kind of can easily go half one way and then half another, and not get the results for yourself or for anyone else or anything. Instead of maybe just don't worry about that guy, because he wasn't worrying about. These two weren't worrying about each other. They don't even give a shit, right? They've just got different opinions.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, okay, if I was just like this guy and just committed to it, I'd get results, right?
Yeah.
And if I never heard that person, it's not a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
As long as you got results for yourself and the client.
Yeah, as well. And I think if you then talked to both of those coaches, and you just kind of was the advocate for the other person's style, I reckon those coaches would agree. They'd be like, oh yeah, no, that works. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. I do it this way because this is why I see it this way.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah. And so definitely on social, I try to limit. I curate Facebook. I've curated Facebook. I've unfollowed people because what they're posting just doesn't help. It frustrates me or it distracts me.
Yeah, as soon as I see one or two posts, I'm on Instagram more than anything else. I'm on Facebook just for a few things, but it's not really anything other than to check out some information stuff for coaching and whatnot. But as soon as I see like 3 or 4 posts that are negative or that I don't agree with, I'm not going to argue with them. It's wasted energy. So I just go, you know what, follow, or if they're really pissing me off and they get shitty with me, I just block them.
Yeah, my thoughts are less inputs and focus more on the inputs you want.
Yeah.
Right. And that may be 2 coaches with different views, but you've done that specifically because they've got that.
Yeah.
Yeah, my thing is.
But I think as well, if you're selective with who you follow, that in that regard to like 2 coaches or the 2 people with differing views, they will agree on a lot of things. But it'll be a certain few things that they don't agree on. Absolutely. Then it will allow you to.
Yeah. I think.
Because I think fundamentally, like coaches will all agree on like
a lot of things, right?
A lot of things.
80% of things, right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing. We're trying to limit the inputs of my day to day. That's been, again, it comes back to that happiness. I think it's like just getting outside.
Yeah. Right? I'm sure people in the blue zone wouldn't be.
They're not scrolling shit, are they? Right?
No.
There's not in Okinawa. You reckon they're like old Japanese ladies and shit who live into 100 over and over again, right?
Sushi and shit.
Yeah, and they're happy and they're like. And they're spiritual. That's another thing. A lot of those people are kind of spiritual. So it's like, and spiritual, and they got purpose, which is important. So it's kind of like you see that and you're like, again, not that training in the gym is bad, not that trying to get the 6-pack is bad, because it's great to chase a hard goal. But those people are probably, if you stripped away everything, those people are probably living the life that a lot of 80-90% of people probably want.
Yeah.
Which is just being happy and healthy and spending time with people.
Nice. We just lost the camera.
Oh no.
It's overhead. But that's alright. So if you're watching this on YouTube, we're coming up just about 2 hours, by the way.
Just put on the screen. Just put on your screen the intro thing, and then we'll just go to that.
Yeah, just continue on the intro screen.
Yeah.
We might go back later, but I don't know. We're literally going on 2 hours right now.
That's good. It's been good.
Yeah. I don't know what you've got on for the rest of the day, but I'm happy to keep chatting.
We can keep chatting. Let's just keep going.
We'll keep going.
Yeah,
nice.
I
like it. So you are a coffee fanatic like I am.
Yes.
Now, how do you have coffee?
Black and short.
Black.
Espresso is the best.
Not a macchiato?
The reason I don't like to add any milk is because the milk can always make shit coffee taste okay.
Yeah. See, I'm kind of a proponent of having milk for that reason.
Yes, yeah, that's
if I'm going to a new place, sus on them.
Yeah.
If I've heard, like, say it's you or a few people that I trust, they say it's good coffee, I'll drink it black.
Yes.
But otherwise, if I'm sus on them,
yep,
I'll try them out for a few weeks with just milk.
Yeah, no, that's fair, and that's another reason too. But people like they have their lattes and their cappuccinos and all that. And hey, I don't mind having one now and then, but it's milk with coffee. It's like the coffee is the second.
They're added.
Yeah. So for me, it's like no. For me, it's just coffee. And if it's bad, it's like oof. And I've had plenty of bad ones, but I'm like, well, that is the price you've got to pay if you're going to have it black. But a good coffee, a good espresso, when it's good, it's like, well, this is just a good coffee.
This is good shit. Yeah. I think you can taste like as well, like you, as you're saying, like milk can kind of hide it, but it also can kind of, from the barista's perspective, do the little things that like give them the notes and the ideas of what they're doing wrong or something like that.
Absolutely. And it also, I'm also quite not particular, but I prefer like the more caramel dark chocolate notes in coffee. So when some are like fruitier, like this has blueberry and like plum notes, I'm like, I don't want those. I just have fruit. Right.
So I want my coffee to taste like goodness,
it's like and I also very strong. I prefer it. Like if I'm gonna hate it, then it should at least punch me in the face with flavour.
Yeah.
Right. I hate when it's kind of like you have it and it's like, it's kind of like Nescafe Blend 43 kind of thing, which is one doesn't taste good, but like it's not that strong anyway. So I like it to be pretty strong, and I just find that the darker chocolate notes, are better for that.
Have you ever thought about roasting your own? Because I have.
Yeah,
I've looked into it.
I've looked into buying a plant as well.
Damn, that's a commitment.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about that.
No, I've looked into buying a plant for the backyard. They grow big.
Like, how big's big?
I think it's like 4 or 5 meters or something. I think.
Oh,
yeah. So it's a mission to get. It's just too big for.
And what about the yield?
I don't know. Well, but also they all grow in closer to the equator.
Say, it's more tropical climates, isn't it?
So
if you're up north, say like Townsville or Cairns or something, it might work.
Yeah, I'd probably do it if I was up there.
You'd also have bigger space.
Yeah, probably. Anywhere from Brisbane up, I'd probably buy a plant and do it myself. But and so I hadn't really thought about the roasting as such. I thought about the plant. I was going.
But then obviously, if you go buy a plant, then you'll roast.
Do everything. I have a slight obsession with coffee. Drink too much, but it's just like that's one of. So
it's like one of everyone has their vices, whatever it might be. Like I obviously training, but there's coffee's another one of mine. We have those two similarities, very much so.
I think coffee is it's just like part of habit for me. Yeah. So like it's actually part of my happiness, I'll say, because since starting carnivore diet, the one thing that I haven't given up is coffee. Yeah. So I said that, and I don't drink. I did have some beers on the weekend, very rare, but
yes, I think I've asked you in the last 6 months about 5 times to have beers.
Yeah, it's very rare.
I come for coffee.
Yeah, coffee is the one thing that I haven't given up. Mostly, I've given up everything else. A bit of fruit I still have, and some honey at the moment. But aside from that, I'm pretty. Everything's out pretty much, except for coffee.
So I want to come back to the carnivore diet, but I have a question. Do you have any? Obviously, like the espresso, but do you play around with any other ways of having coffee? Like, do you have cold press or pour over or anything like that? Have you done it in the past?
Have done cold press. No, cold press. Yeah. have done it. I just...
I'm not, like, honestly, I'm not that massive of a fan of cold press.
I'm not either. People, like, really talk about... I find it... People say that espresso is more bitter than cold press, and I'm like...
I find the same with what you're trying to say. Like, it's more bitter having the cold press. Yeah. I also find it kind of feels dirty. Drinking it kind of makes my mouth feel dirty.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right word for it, but it feels like there's more granular particles to it.
I've also found that I just like... I'm probably Italian in my past, I think. I've come. So for me, like, whenever they worked out how to make an espresso, it probably makes sense that why I like drinking them, because I just find there's no other way really to do it.
Yeah.
There's and people are like, oh, I've got this, AeroPress, pressure thing, but, and I'm like, just an espresso machine, a classic one, and like those proper hardcore ones, not that I've got one, but those proper hardcore ones that they have at cafes that are like, probably do some stupid pressure, that's it, that's perfect. And when we were in Italy, you see a lot of foreigners will drink outside, which is like $10 a coffee.
Yeah.
And they get these milky coffees. And we would always head inside to the counter, €1 for an espresso.
Really?
Yeah, €1. And they'll, as long as you stand there, I think you can have other types as well, and they'll still charge €1. But we always had just the espresso, and there was some bloody good coffees over there.
See, this is why I wanted to ask you, because I found out at Gem, I've never been to Europe, and it's obviously a plan to go, and I love coffee, so I'd rather not drink milk and get cheaper coffee. Probably that's going to be of a better quality, especially in...
Yes, yeah. Well, Italy is good, Portugal is good, and then the rest tends to be a bit shit.
Yeah. But then as well, like €9 is like...
Yeah, it's bullshit.
It's like $15.
Yeah, and it just makes no sense. It's just like... And they do it on purpose, they're smart.
Yeah, of course.
Because they know that only Italians will...
Come in,
right? Because Italian, they've got fucking shit to do. They're still working, right? So they come in, drink, and then they go on. They're like, so yeah, you go there and it's way better, and you just get better coffees as well. I think they do it on purpose.
Yeah. So have you ever tried to pour over?
No, never tried.
No. I've had it once or twice. I think probably pour over and percolated it kind of on that same level.
Yeah, I think that'd be alright as well.
But I'd always go machine, coffee.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I've been camping a little bit recently. Yeah, I do love me a campfire instant coffee.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Because I think it's more the vibe.
Yeah, that's what I was
thinking. The environment. But yeah, I'd rather, if I could, go machine. Maybe there's an idea of how to make money. Portable machine you can actually take in.
That could be. Check that. Because they might have done that already.
They might have, but you can do it better.
But maybe they haven't. I don't know. I'm not talking from any authority there. I'm just saying.
This is just like two idiots.
I just thought to myself.
The most random idea ever.
I just thought to myself, I'm like, surely someone's done that, and that's why I thought check it. But now I'm like, well, I don't know. Actually, maybe someone hasn't done it.
Just logistically, like thinking about that, I think it's probably going to be pretty hard to do, but I'm sure we can figure it out.
Again, it's one of the traditions. Jen and I wake up, have an espresso, go to the garden.
Yeah.
And just check things out. And it's just nice.
Is that every day or is that...
Every day. Every day.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, at that moment, I'm pretty much as happy as I can be each day. Because I'm like, awesome. I'm just with Jen, coffee, with Jen, I love, with coffee, I love, in the garden, I love, right? Yeah. So it's like, this is for this.
If the sun's out, I love. If the sun's not out, I love.
It's like, for this 5 minutes,
nothing
fucking matters for this 5 minutes. And that's why I told Jen I was going to drop coffee and she nearly stabbed me. So, coffee stayed.
Yeah. well, I do know Jen loves coffee as well, so... well, shout out to Jen, actually. She's a top chick.
Awesome. She's at work, at home, kicking ass right now. So,
well, that's
as usual. She's bringing in the big bucks because coaching.
What do you
Coaching
mean?
post-COVID. Woo, it's tough.
Coaching in general. What do you mean? That's money making.
Yeah.
According to everyone but a coach.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Definitely some people. Well, it's a percentage thing, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Top 4% are absolutely killing it.
Yeah.
Of course.
100%.
So.
But that's the same in any industry.
Exactly.
So I want to come back to the carnivore diet now.
Yeah.
Why'd you start it?
Why?
How hectic are you going? Because you started a veggie garden.
Yeah. So why? Because I got inflammation in my knee. So I had inflammation in my left knee, and it's popped up. I think 4 times in my left knee from the age of about 10.
Yeah.
And so my knee would really swell up, only my left knee. And then, so it's happened a few times. And then recently, at the start of this year, it happened to my right knee, which then got me thinking, all right, this is a inflammation, right? This is this is an autoimmune issue. Because I'm not really doing anything. I was training at the time, and I did hear, while I was training once, I did hear something pop in my right knee, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, maybe that was it. No pain, right? No pain. I've got full range of motion with no pain, right?
The only thing I could think of would be a complete ACL rupture.
Yeah. But, yeah, I've still been going pretty ham, right?
Yeah. Well, I've seen what you know about it.
Like it's not that I'm doing crazy, but it's like
there's some exercises
you
definitely need the ACL.
Yeah, I feel like something would have given me indication in some form of pain or instability, and I'm like, all right, so nothing's here. So I thought, all right, I think it's an autoimmune thing. I went on AIP diet, autoimmune protocol.
What's that?
Similar thing that you take out a lot of things like nightshades, so tomatoes, capsicum are out, things like that. So it's a very restrictive diet aimed at removing things which apparently trigger autoimmune
responses.
Issues, across a broad range of people. Right?
Yeah.
So not everyone gets it, but broad range, so they kind of remove everything. Not much change from that. I think it kind of reduced a bit, but not much change. So I thought, I'd been researching carnivore from the moment I started AIP. So I thought, all right, let's make the step. I was probably on AIP for it's probably like 8 to 10 weeks, I'd say. 8 to 10 weeks, which is probably not long enough, but I was like, well, let's just take it further, right? So then I went to carnivore, and that's the reason how full on I am with it. I'd probably say I still have some herbs.
Yeah.
And some spices, not heaps, but I still have some.
Yeah.
I still have a little bit of onion and garlic and stuff for flavour as well.
Yeah.
A little bit of sauce, coffee. That's about it.
Well, I guess cheese is kind of carnivore-ish.
Kind of. It's probably on the boundary. The reason I do it is
calcium.
A calorie thing actually.
Yeah, right.
So, I was just found I leaned out pretty quick. So I was like, let's start to just add more calories in there.
Yeah.
And then,
so you're saying, basically, is your calories in weren't being your calories out.
That's probably it.
Mate, I think you should be the next diet.
Oh, no. It's wild. It's a wild idea, isn't it? Which is obviously not surprising when you remove basically everything.
Yeah.
Right? But in terms of vegetables, I've barely had any vegetables from our own vegetable garden.
Just ginseng.
That's right. Which is
you get to grow, I guess.
I've made the pledge to her though that I will only eat vegetables from our garden from now on.
Yeah.
Alright, so that's pretty much.
Well, I guess as well, like you kind of know what you've done to them, so if there is a response, you can kind of obviously it's
absolutely.
the vegetables rather than it could be the pesticides or something. The way it's stored or.
definitely not a diet I'd ever recommend for. No. I wouldn't recommend for general population. Probably anyone who's trained less than 5 or 10 years consistently. Somewhere there. Only because there's just way easier steps you can take.
You can take some other restrictions.
Yeah, you can do way simpler things. And this is a kind of self-experimentation, stupid thing. Although, in saying that,
how's your poos going?
Fine. Organ meats are the key. So a lot of livers, a lot of hearts.
Well, all right. So what's your go-to heart then?
Lamb heart. Yeah, I wish it was human. I fucking wish. Sometimes there are times when I'm cutting up that lamb heart, where I'm like, I wish this is an enemy of mine. I'm just like, fuck you. No, but lamb is good, and ox heart I do.
Ooh.
But chicken livers are my go-to.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start getting some, I have to check, I think it's like from, I can't remember the name of it, Next Gen or something like that. They're the only ones in Australia that produce kidney, liver, bone marrow pills, basically. Ox.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're all organic and grass-fed, I believe. And I've been searching online because I've been following the Carnivore MD.
Yeah. I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, so obviously there's products like that in the States, get them to Australia as a mission. But there is one company who does make them in Australia, so I'll start having those as well, just for a bit of extra organ.
Yeah.
But the organ meats is the way to go. I still have, I will still have a little fruit, 5 or 6 strawberries a day.
Yeah.
With some yogurt and a little bit of honey. That's about it. So I'd say I'm 80%, around that, 80% carnivore, maybe even a bit more. Yeah.
Awesome.
Way more clarity.
Yeah. So
way
you're probably more
clarity.
like a good form of ketosis.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, basically ketosis. So, mainly because there's just not much. I'd be surprised if strawberry. Yeah, I mean, I'd be surprised. But more clarity, more focus, more energy, more level energy.
Yeah.
And leaner without doing anything more. This is I'm not doing. People always think, oh, you need to do cardio or something. I ain't really doing any cardio. I did pretty intense session today, but that's it, once a week. And I'm slowly starting to add some muscle again, which is
increasing calories.
Increasing calories, right? So starting to get just more protein in.
Yeah.
It is. I wouldn't recommend it, and yet it's probably the best I've felt ever.
Yeah. So it's obviously pretty extreme.
It is. Yeah, it's extreme.
Now, you never want to encourage people to do some extreme shit, but if I guess someone has found they've got that autoimmune and find nothing else, I guess they could try it. But I think it's good to shed just your personal experience because other people about absolutely. I've never followed like a certain diet or whatever, but I've always found that when I've eaten more meat and kind of cut back on everything else, I find I'm more clear and feeling better.
Yeah, for sure.
But I always struggle to get calories in, so
it's
kind of like that
balance.
That balancing act.
Yeah, and like for you especially, like you need huge amounts of calories, and I've ramped up the training.
Yeah. So that run I did the other day, the 90-minute run, I think that's about like 1,500 calories. And that was without like a heart rate monitor attached. I'm guessing it probably would have been higher, but it's just like, hey, this is what generally you probably would burn.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so it's like I've definitely ramped up the training. Yeah. So I'll need a bit more, but
What type of meat are you, like? Obviously, you said the organ meats, but do you eat grass fed, grass finished type meats, or what's your general?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes, if the price, I go off price. If the price is right, I will.
Yeah.
But not always. Yeah. Not always. I just obviously I do find a difference in taste with the grass fed. I actually do. I find it better.
I agree.
Yeah, 100%. But no, I just go off price. That I'll get a large cut. It's probably not the best thing on like whatever.
Well, if you're eating so much meat, you got to kind of
exactly.
get your bang for your buck as well.
Yeah. So a lot of lamb, pork. I brought back kangaroo. Not much chicken. I have a little bit. Chicken is generally the chicken livers. Yeah. And beef. I'll just do everything. And been getting sardines as well. Been doing a lot more sardines.
Do you like go butcher or just like?
No, just terrace farm.
Yeah.
Just because you just want to go.
Convenience.
Yeah, it's just that they sell big cuts.
Yeah.
Big cuts for pretty good price. So, and that's the thing that I found. I'm sure people would say, carnivore diet bad for the environment. I eat a lot more organ meat that most people probably aren't going to eat. So parts of the animals that a lot of people wouldn't eat anyway. Yeah. And the cuts that I get are big cuts. So I'm not getting 2 T-bone steaks.
You're getting like the whole backstrap.
I'm getting the whole thing, right? So I'm actually getting one part of an animal, right? One massive part of an animal. And that will last me a week, right? Whereas people are getting the steak in and it's probably from another, right? To get their weekly intake, it probably takes, 5, 6, 7 animals, right?
Takes you one.
Takes me one, right?
Yeah.
One. And then obviously there's variety there, but so I'm kind of like, it's probably not the best thing for the environment. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that.
I think like, I wouldn't worry about that because like mass-produced farm crops are absolutely great for the environment. It's pick your poison.
Yeah, exactly. There's plenty of stuff we're not doing particularly good. So, and in terms of like, I guess vegans, I'm probably just pissing them off. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
I've actually got a client who's vegan. And we have some interesting discussions. Nothing bad. She does not care at all that I'm carnivore. I don't care that she's vegan.
I think it's probably just 2 interesting point of views, and to have good conversation. It wouldn't necessarily be. Yeah.
And also, in terms of the autoimmune response, people said that going vegan helps as well, and I'm sure it would.
Yeah.
The issue is with training.
Yeah. I agree. Like, I've heard so many stories of people like, I went vegan and like I don't have good muscle. Like, okay, well, I don't see where you get enough protein from.
Absolutely.
To build enough muscle, but again, that's for them to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not telling them what to do. But
I
agree. Like, for performance side of things, I'd probably go carnivore.
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely, like, I've been thinking about, and this is why probably helps that I'm not like full on performance. Yeah. Because I think for performance, you definitely would struggle. Yeah. I think you
need carbs, you need proteins, you need fats.
You need it all there, kind of thing. And I'm having minimal carbs, really. Yeah. And people might say, "Oh, yeah, keto, blah blah." Yeah, if you were going for performance, you'd have carbs in there, right? Yeah. So it's good that I'm not doing that. It's kind of, for me, I just like moving some weight and feeling good. Yeah, it's worked out to be a pretty good diet. Yeah, wouldn't recommend it for most people, but if someone was keen on a 12-week crazy self-experiment, it'd be pretty good, I reckon.
Yeah. So do you eat a lot of game meat at all? Or not really, just a kangaroo?
Just a kangaroo. Although I do want to start eating more game meat.
Because just down the road here, there's a
game
meat butcher. Yeah. I haven't checked it out, but I've been meaning to for a while. And last a few people that like eat a lot of meat.
They've got possum and stuff there.
Really? Have you checked it out?
Yeah, I've been in there. They've got possum and they've got all this. You go in there and you're like, they're not joking when they say they've got stuff. They've got heaps of variety in it. Very expensive, of course.
Yeah.
But it would be good to check out for emu, I think, and stuff like that. Heaps.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you ever had crocodile?
Haven't had crocodile. They started selling it at Coles, I've noticed.
I've had it. I had it at a restaurant when I was younger. But I saw someone take a photo of it at Coles or whatever, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" And like, it's actually really nice. It's like it's probably like a white steak, so like a white meat steak, like a chicken version of a steak.
Wow.
So it's like, it's wild. It's just pretty cool. Yeah. But that's weird that they're selling it. It's good on them, but good on them. I don't know if I could buy it.
I've been having a lot more kangaroo burgers, cheap, $14 a kilo for kangaroo. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And I used to get the kilo the mince. The problem with that is going carnivore with that and not putting much flavour.
Oh, it can be bland, yeah.
I'm like, could I do that? It's good as like with bolognese with sauce, like a tomato sauce, but not doing that, I'm like, yeah, it'd be tough. Carnivore can be tough sometimes anyway, so
yeah.
I think the hardest part is
cooking the meat the right way, so it's not like dry.
Yeah, exactly. And like the organ meats is like a lot of organ meats don't taste that good.
Well, I can imagine.
Kidneys.
Kidneys and liver
are tough.
Because like the filtering systems.
Yeah.
So they're going to have the minerals and stuff that you need, but they're also they're also designed to clean that body.
They'll taste like iron. They genuinely taste like iron.
Like eating metal?
Yep, like you're eating metal. It's like, it's hard to eat them. And like I've come up with a few strategies to kind of get around it, where I'll blend them and mix it in with mince and stuff.
Yeah.
So I've kind of got ways around it, but still.
Well, I guess pate is duck liver.
Yeah.
So
it's an acquired taste, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Alright, dude, that's about 2.5 hours.
Done.
I'm going to let you get out of here.
That's done.
Thank you for coming on though. Thank you.
Thank you. That's been awesome.